Welcome to the Feria TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Penny Kane, founder and CEO of Bloom Technologies, who is transforming bee-derived ingredients into patented skincare innovations through groundbreaking research at the intersection of nature and science. As one of only 8% of women listed as primary inventor on a patent, Penny brings a unique perspective to biotech innovation. Her journey began when she turned nature's pharmacy to address our children's severe allergies, leading to a decade of research and the discovery of Bloom, a proprietary anti-inflammatory technology that's setting new standard in natural skincare. So, Miss Penny, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited to have you. Yeah, so let's dive in, Miss Penny. To start, could you tell us about your company's Bloom Technologies and the products you are developing?
Sure. Bloom Technologies was founded in 2011 when I discovered Bloom. Actually, discovered it in 2010, but then I incorporated the company to facilitate the research that was going into Bloom at the time. Fast forward a lot of years, I founded Bloombee, which is the face of the company that will have the skincare with the proprietary technology. So what's going to happen is Bloom Technologies will license the technology to Bloombee, and Bloombee will produce and market the cosmetics.
Amazing. So, tell us, uh, what was the specific health challenge that your daughter was facing that made you start this journey?
Really, it started from the time I was pregnant. I have to be honest. I had a very tumultuous pregnancy. My daughter was born very early. She spent a lot of time in the NICU. She was born really sick. After I took her home from the hospital, she developed colic. I was at my wit's end at that time. That was so many years ago. She's 23 now. But back then, there was limited knowledge on what was going on and why she was screaming all the time. And as a new mom who's just desperate to have my child feel better, that's really where all of this kind of started. So I went down a rabbit hole of, okay, what am I eating and feeding to her that's upsetting her this way? And it started me on a path of thinking about food and in relation to how we feel when we eat it. Um, from there, she developed anxiety, she had depression, she had rashes. My second daughter had seizures. It was just a whole, at that time, it just felt like a nightmare for me because I had these two kids that had all of these health problems, and it was, it seemed like they were allergic to everything. Um, and so that my background is not in any of this. I have a background in marketing, and finance. And so when this motherhood journey came and my children were sick, it was like a whole new learning curve for me, to try and figure out why they had the allergies that they did. At that time too, as I said before, it was so long ago, I wasn't getting all the answers I needed from the medical community. Um, and that was just a frustration that I had as a mother. So when I tell this story, the only way that I can say it that, might or might not make sense is I became in searching for natural ways to heal my children and changing out like the products that I was using and all that kind of stuff and their diet. I became obsessed with bees. I was reading about the medicinal properties that honey can have and royal jelly and propolis, and I was fascinated by bees. Um, I would drive around to bee farms, talk to the bee farmers, just try and learn everything I could. And one day I had a bee, so I had read that when you burn a beeswax candle, pure beeswax candle, it emits ions that neutralize toxins. Now, whether or not that is scientifically proven to date, who knows? But that just fascinated me. I thought, like, what is going on when we burn this wax that the bees have provided us, that it is able to, take out toxins from the air? And like, if it can do that in a candle, how can it do, like, obviously we can't eat the wax, but I became, in search of what was causing this and how could we find a way to have it hold medical value for humans, like in a different fashion. Um, During that time, speaking to one of the bee farmers, I noticed a white powder on the candle. And I asked him what it was, and he said it's called bloom. You can wipe it off because it looks antique looking to the consumer. Some people buying the candle would think, well, what is this on here? I don't like the look of it, type of thing. So he said, you can wipe it off, but it will always come back. And that was my light bulb moment because I thought, what is this? What's in there that's migrating out? Now, at the time, too, if we go back, there was no information on bloom anywhere other than it was a powder found on candles. And so I definitely had my work cut out for me because it was a mom with an idea and a gut feeling that this was something. And I had to take this to, first of all, convince a friend gave me an immunologist's email. I didn't even know he was an immunologist. I just knew he was a scientist at the University of Calgary at the time. And I emailed him and I said, hey, will you agree to meet with me? I have this idea. And so he did, thankfully. And I told him, like, I think this bloom is something. And he said, oh, like, I interested in him enough to say, okay, I'm going to perform a test on rat intestines at the U of C, inject them with a known allergen, and we'll see if this bloom does anything. So from there, he did the test, and yes, bloom stopped the reactions. He was fascinated enough at that time with that initial science to come on board with me. His name's Dr. Ron Matheson. He is the person that I credit for all of the success that I had moving up. Because again, going back, I'm a mom. I have an idea. There is nothing to back it. There's nothing proving what I'm saying I feel in my gut. So Dr. Matheson, we started with that initial test. We took it to an incubator fund, and they said, okay, well, if you can prove to us that bloom is different than the wax, then you're on to something. Because at that time we didn't know. Is it just, is this bloom the wax? So from there, took it to another lab. They characterized it, and yes, it was different. So then um, we got non-dilutive funding from the government to do more characterization because there was nothing on this bloom. And so they were able to characterize some of it at that time, and we were getting momentum. Unfortunately, Dr. Matheson passed away very suddenly around the time we were gaining momentum with scientific validation. And he was the person who got me in the doors. Like, I don't think anyone would have taken me seriously at all. And why would they have? You know, I don't look like what I should look like to be doing this. And so when he died, a literal gut punch, I sort of retreated, pulled back, said I didn't want to do any more of the research at the time. And I knew I had to focus on intellectual property because I knew we had something. I knew we had something innovative. I knew we're the first people looking at it. But if I didn't have a patent on it, it wasn't going to be investable. And so from there, I and I always tell the story, like some people say, well, isn't getting a patent easy? You just file the paperwork. No, absolutely not. And not, I mean, in my case, no. And it wasn't cheap. And I had to go through 3 law firms just to, it was just because the patent for Bloom was the only patent application for Bloom. So the examiner had questions like, who is this lady? Like, what is she doing kind of thing. It was almost like He'd ask questions and then I'd have to answer, but every time we'd go back and forth, it cost me money. So I don't know, by some grace of God, after years of trying, my lawyer emailed me one morning and just said, "You got it." And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And it's a composition patent using bloom for the treatment of inflammation. So once I had that in hand, I thought, "Okay, what am I gonna do now?" 'Cause I have this. I know it's anti-inflammatory. We have the science that backs it. It's got some very cool little goodies in it that we know. But getting it to market in the form of a drug or a nutraceutical proved to be an uphill battle from there because bloom is not found in the FDA or Health Canada database. So we couldn't take it and put it in something. And so then I was like, what am I going to I can either work really hard to get that put in there, but then there was also an issue with extraction. And so I have a wonderful group of advisors around me that I've just collected along the way who've believed in it and believed in me and offer, their help, which I'm eternally grateful for because I have no business doing this, even though I'm doing it and I love doing it. But I mean, I need all the help I can get. So one of my advisors came to me, I asked and they just said, you know what, this looks like, an excellent way to get bloom into the market would be through cosmetics. To start, you have the patent. We know what's in bloom. We know, that, we can take some of what's in bloom and we can put it in the cosmetics and it will be novel. And so that's what I have been doing for a couple of years now. Because another uphill battle, which I never realized, is that a lot of products that you buy are just white label. So a company, it's all the same ingredients that the company uses, but they market and they do their own um, labeling and whatever, but the ingredients are all the same. But I Bloom is different. This is different, and it works, and it's novel. I'm the only one who has it currently, so it's very important to me to get this right. So I've been dealing with formulation to get it almost 100% natural, but to have the Bloom ingredient in there. Um, and I've also been working with a college in Vancouver where they're developing a delivery system. So we now know that Bloom does penetrate the skin barrier and work. Did I go on too long with one question?
No, no, it was a very elaborate response, and as a matter of fact, while you were responding to the first question, you answered like plenty of the follow-up questions that I had in mind, and I think that was really great. So tell us, what was the biggest challenge that you faced as a female inventor, especially in the scientific community, and one which you were not really conversant with prior to this, invention of Bloom, because you did not have a background in science or research in science. What was the biggest challenge for you there?
My biggest challenge was that the people didn't take me seriously. I had imposter syndrome too. I would go into meetings with scientists and I would have no clue what they're talking about. I don't have that background, but so the challenge was I come in and the beginning, pretty much off the bat, the one question I'd be asked is, what's your background? What's your background? And it started to kind of beat me down. I got to be honest, like, am I good enough? What is my background? Because it definitely doesn't um, fit the mold. I don't look, hands down, that's been my biggest challenge. I, but I also attribute not having the scientific background as a strength in the fact that I was able to believe in the absence of proof. I always believed in bloom, and none of it can make sense. So I had to be this crazy one here to come with the idea, bring it to the scientific community and have it validated. And what I've learned too over the course of all of these years is what's your background used to really, really sting. Um, but now that I've gone through it all, it's like I don't have to prove my background. I think inventions are things that we don't know yet. So you don't need a specific background for it. You definitely need the legs and the help from smarter scientists to get it done, but yeah, it's that I don't fit a mold.
That's interesting and understandable. So, tell us, what was the moment that you realized that bee-based ingredients could actually help your children's severe allergies? Did you test it on them, or how exactly did you finally know that it could actually help them?
Well, the light bulb moment was really when Dr. Matheson did the original tests with Bloom, and he was an immunologist and an allergy specialist, and the original test showed that Bloom inhibited the allergies in a rat intestine. And so that kind of worked in synchronicity with like, oh, my kids have these allergies and Bloom is helping with allergies. Um, did I so like I said, Bloom's not wasn't in the Health Canada database or FDA, but I would definitely scrape it off the candles and be like, "Here, eat your Bloom." And they're like, "Mom, you're so weird." And I would eat it. Yeah.
Interesting. So, you talked about utilizing bloom in mainstream beauty and the wellness industry. So tell us, what's one thing you believe that mainstream beauty and wellness industry gets wrong about natural ingredients like bloom?
That they don't work.
Wow,
I Yeah, I didn't even have to think about that. Um, I think nature provides us with everything we need, always has. I mean, that's kind of it's in my DNA that's respect for the earth and all of that. So I think we've kind of been programmed to think we need these harsh chemicals to get good results. Now, I will say there are natural products that don't necessarily work that well, but I understand that people want to use them because they don't want the toxins or whatever in them. So I think there's a momentum of people going, you know what? I can use natural products and they can work. Like Bloom is gonna come out there. I've always been a big dreamer, but it's new, it's novel, and it works.
amazing. Amazing. So, tell us, why is it personally important to you to be listed as the primary inventor on your patent, especially as part of the only 8% of women who are actually, patented?
Why is it important to list? Because I think that I want this number to be way, way, way higher. To me, 8%, that's so low. Why is that? You know, women, we have a lot to bring to the table. It's, I just think that, it's important to empower women if you have an idea to go for it. I think it's like sad that it's only 8%, that I'm one of only 8%. I think that has to change.
So, tell us, what roles do the bees play in your research? I mean, they are like the main guys here. They are the ones who make the products that then turn to a product for you that you use in your research. So, uh, what have they taught you about innovation? The bees themselves.
The bees? Oh, I am okay, I'm a bee nerd. I'm obsessed with bees. Um, Honey doesn't go bad for like 3,000 years. What is in that? It's wound healing, it's antimicrobial, it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidants. The bees, they live in harmony just to pollinate and create all of these goodies in the hive. That is their mission in life, is just to do that. We wouldn't have most of our food if it wasn't for bees. We can learn so much from bees. I mean, if you look back at ancient Egyptian culture, they loved bees. It was a sign of fertility, like, that just bees. We're in the infancy of discovering just how cool they are and what they can bring to us.
Amazing. So tell us, uh, how has being a mother shaped your identity as an inventor and an entrepreneur?
Being a mother is absolutely my superpower and the backbone to why I've done any of this. I never would have had the courage to do it if I wasn't fighting for my kids. I think, like, that was the most important thing to me, and I was gonna do anything to help them.
Amazing. So what would you advise, what advice would you give to other mothers or indigenous innovators who have an idea, but don't really know where to start from?
I would say that if you have that burning, that light bulb moment, that's something that you can't let go of, that you do whatever you can. You knock on doors, you will be told no 100 times, but you look for allies. You put your idea out there. You have to be brave enough to vocalize it. I would then research if it's innovative, if there's any prior art or if there's anything on this idea. And then number one thing would be look for allies. Like I said in my long-winded version of Dr. Matheson, if I hadn't reached out to him and took a gamble on him thinking that I was crazy for my idea, I would have never been able to do any of this. So it's taking that first step. It's being scrappy.
Amazing, amazing. So, so far, when you were starting out, with the research, with the doctor, uh, did you learn anything about entrepreneurship, or did you just decide to go for it, when when you thought you were ready?
I learned about entrepreneurship by doing it. I think that honestly that you can't read about it and then go out and be a successful entrepreneur. I don't think it's taught. I mean, I think it's helpful to have some backbone or, some education on it if that's what makes you feel more confident, but being an entrepreneur means falling on your face all the time. It's literally falling on your face. It's going from high to low, to high to low, to high to low, and never, like, there's so many times where I've said, like, "Penny, you're not good enough. You don't know, business. You don't know any of this stuff," but that's not true, because an entrepreneur needs the courage to learn and follow through.
So, if you could tell us one thing, just one thing that all successful entrepreneurs have in common, what would you say that is?
Courage.
Wow. Wow. Courage. Interesting. That's great. So, to wrap things up, Miss Penny, there's this question I like to ask every guest I interview here, and I normally like to save it for the last. So, tell us, what does innovation mean to you, and how does it relate to your line of work? Personally to you, when it comes to bridging nature and science with your products and with your company. I just want to hear what the meaning of the word innovation mean from your own opinion.
The meaning of the word innovation to me is discovering something new, previously undiscovered, creating something that hasn't been done before.
Amazing.
And yeah, that's what bloom is.
Okay, that's precise. All right. So, tell us, Miss Penny, where can our listeners find you, contact you, or follow your work, or learn more about Bloom Technologies?
Sure, I can be found at bloombee.ca, BLOOMBEE.ca, or on LinkedIn. Um, I do give updates on bloombee.ca, and there will be a lot more coming out in the future, in the next couple months.
Amazing. So, Miss Penny, it's been a really wonderful conversation with you, and I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much.